Hello everybody, my name is Shankarji. Now we'll be discussing chapter 6, Major Landforms of the Earth. The landforms are defined as the various natural features formed over a long period of time on Earth. So these landforms are formed by the internal process and the external process. So the internal process is defined as the upliftment and sinking of the Earth's surface at several places. The external process can be defined as the continuous wearing down or rebuilding of the land surfaces. So these are the two main processes by which the landforms are formed. So what do you mean by erosion? Erosion is the wearing away of the Earth's surface by the natural agents present on Earth. It can be, for example, the natural agents can be wind, can be water, can be animals, can be plants, etc. So we call these natural agents agents of erosion. And then rebuilt by deposition, like whatever the land area is eroded by erosion, they are rebuilt by deposition. Like say for example, a particular wind blows strongly, the sand in a particular land area is removed and maybe a pit is formed. After a while, maybe after a few years down the line, due to the continuous flowing of the wind, the mud from other areas can refill the eroded area. This kind of refilling is known as deposition. It can be sand, it can also be fossils like dead plants or animals, etc. The agents of erosion, they not only erode, they also rebuild the area by the process called deposition. Some of the major landforms are mountains, plateaus, plains, etc. We will study them in a little bit more detail in this chapter. So first we'll take a look at the mountains. A mountain is any natural elevation of the Earth's surface above the mean sea level is known as a mountain. If it's a little bit small elevation, it is known as a hill. One of the striking features of mountains are they have small summits and large bases. They will have a large base and they will be tapering. They will slowly, as you go above, they will taper and they will have a small summit known as the peak of a mountain. That means the tallest point of a mountain, also known as the summit of the mountain. If you talk about hills, they will have the same top, they will have the same tapering on their slopes. However, their summits might not be very small. They might have a larger summit. So that's why they are known as the hills. So mountains, they have small summits and large bases usually, and they are much higher than the surrounding areas. Glaciers are normally found on mountains. Glaciers are defined as the permanently frozen rivers of ice. For example, we have a famous glacier in Jammu and Kashmir, India, like the Siachen glacier. We have many other glaciers worldwide. These are very, very important for the freshwater supply of the whole world, or fresh water used for various applications including drinking. Like at the same time, we also have many undersea mountains below the oceans. If you compare the number of people living in the plains and the plateaus, the number of people are much less in the mountainous areas than the people in other areas, because mountains have extreme climate and the climate is very harsh. Mountains may be arranged in a line known as range, usually a series of parallel ranges. Example, the Himalayas, the Alps, the Andes, etc. In India, we have the Himalayas because the Himalayas extend over India, Nepal, Bhutan, a little bit of China as well. So we have the Himalayas, we have the Alps in the Europe, and we have the Andes mountains running in South America. Mountains may be classified into three different types, mainly the fold mountains, the block mountains, and the volcanic mountains. So the fold mountains usually have a rugged relief, a rough and tough rugged relief. They have high conical peaks. For example, the Himalayas, the Alps, etc. The block mountains are created when large areas are broken and displaced vertically. For example, they have two distinct features known as the horse and the graben. The horse are the uplifted blocks, the blocks of rocks which have been uplifted by the agents of erosion. And we have the lowered blocks known as graben, which have been lowered by the agents of erosion. So these are the two prominent parts of the block mountains. For example, the Rhine Valley, the Vosges mountains in Europe are an example of block mountains. Now we'll take a look at the volcanic mountains. The volcanic mountains are formed due to volcanic activity. Mount Kilimanjaro in Kenya, Africa, and Mount Fujiyama in Japan, Asia. So these are the examples of the volcanic mountains. Why are mountains very important? Because mountains are very useful, not only for us, for the entire earth. They act as storehouses of water, mainly fresh water, which is absolutely crucial for drinking and survival of living organisms, including us humans. Apart from that, the water found on the mountains are mainly used for irrigation and generation of hydroelectricity. That's why they are absolutely crucial and very, very important. And then mountains have a rich variety of flora and fauna. Flora and fauna are scientific terms for plants and animals. Mountains also provide us with a lot of product for all of us, including human beings, for other plants, for animals, everything. They help us in developing tourism as well because of their scenic beauties, because the landscapes are so beautiful, they are so wonderful to look at, that tourism is also developed in the mountainous areas. Now we'll take a look at plateaus. What do you mean by plateaus? A plateau is defined as an elevated flat land. It has a flat topped tableland standing above the surrounding areas. It has steep slopes. Normally the height of a plateau ranges from a few hundred meters to a few thousand meters. There can be young mountains, there can be old mountains, because the Himalayas are one of the youngest mountains of the whole world, and the Aravalli mountains are one of the oldest mountains of the whole world. Similarly, the plateaus can also be young and old. For example, the Deccan Plateau, the East African Plateau, etc. Even plateaus are very useful, just like the mountains, because mainly they are very rich in their mineral deposits. So many mining areas are present here in the plateaus for digging and mining them and for extracting the various minerals for various applications. There are normally several waterfalls present in the plateaus, and they also have wonderful scenic beauties. They also act as great tourist destinations. They also help us in developing tourism as well. And apart from this, plateaus have very fertile soil, which are absolutely suitable for cultivation of a variety of crops. So in this way, we took a look at mountains and the plateaus. Now we'll talk about plains. Plains are large stretches of flat land. Usually plains are not more than 200 meters above the mean sea level. That's why they are known as plains. However, sometimes they can be slightly more than that as well, but not like plateaus and mountains. Plains can be of three types, like there can be level plains, there can be rolling plains, there can be undulating plains. And then normally plains will have flat land. However, some plains may have different levels. Some plains may have rolling levels, like maybe up and down, like a wavy form. And some plains may be undulating. Undulating means a little bit of wavy form, little bit of random zigzag form. Most of the plains are formed by the rivers and their tributaries. During the course of the journey of the rivers, a lot of deposits, the rivers carry a lot of deposits along with them. These deposits are finally deposited on the plains. So due to this reason, a lot of natural deposits are found on the plains, and due to this reason, they are very fertile for cultivation of crops. Even plateaus are very good for cultivation of crops, but plains are even more fertile than the plateaus. Construction of transport network is easy as well, but these plains are thickly populated regions. It's good in one way that you have a lot of manpower, but in other ways a lot of resources are being utilized as well. So these plains are very suitable for human habitation. These plains are very thickly populated areas and regions of the whole world. For example, the Indo-Gangetic Plains are very densely populated in North India, like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, all these areas where the West Bengal, all these areas where the Ganges, the Ganga river and its tributaries flow. Now, what about landforms and the people? Different ways of living are found on different landforms. For example, mountains, plateaus, plains, forests, deserts, etc. There's a natural reason behind it, because if you look at the ways of living of mountainous people living on the mountains, their ways of living will be quite different to that of those people living on the plain areas, on the plains, or maybe on the plateau areas, or maybe on the forest areas, or in the desert areas. People have different ways of living according to different places and conditions. You cannot expect mountainous people to live a life of the people who live in the plains, and vice versa. So in short, landforms and the people are closely connected. The lifestyle also varies, unless of course if the region is a little bit similar to this region. So these are some of the major topics which we have covered in this chapter, chapter 6, major landforms of the earth. So if you want, you can add further points to the existing knowledge, and if you have any doubts or suggestions, you can let us know in the comment section below. Thank you so much. Have a great day.